Okay, I'm going to talk you through the random access files program because it's quite a lot of data, but it works quite well. So, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a file. So I'm going to call it my songs, and then I'm going to enter the data. So obviously, my favorite bands. Okay, so it says that the file was written. Now, if I press play, I want to read the file, and I know I called it my songs. So it tells me that there's 5 items in the songs. So if I put number 2, then I can see the third one. I'd like to see another record. So if I put 0, it's the first one. It is numbered from 0 to 4, the same way an array is. I don't want to see another one, so it ends. This is how it works. We've got the album data, which is a class that stores all the information I want to know about an album. So I have the private variables string, artist, string, album, integer, release year, the usual. I have a default constructor in case the user doesn't enter any data, and I have the constructor method for the data and the usual get methods. There's no set methods because once you add the album, nothing changes. Then we got the data file. This is a complex one, so I'll come back to it. We have the random access files. This is my main method. All this asks me to do is if I want to create a file or read a file. If I press 1 and I want to create a file, it creates an instance of the create inventory file class, and that's opened. And if I want to read a file, it creates the read inventory file class, and then that one's opened. So let's have a look inside them. Inside the create inventory file, I am only letting the person create an array of 5. I take an artist name, the name of the band, the release, the genre, and the file name. I have an array which has all of the album data stored in it, and if there is a problem, it throws the I/O exception. Now what happens is for the number of items, it asks the artist, it asks the name, it asks the year, and it asks the genre, and then it adds it to the album. And once I've added all 5, it creates a new album data file, this class, and it writes the items into the data file, closes the data file. It's important that you close the data file so we can use it. If I have a look at the read one, this time we're reading out from the file and it puts it into an array. So says it has the number of records, and you want to put in the number of records that you can see. We move the file pointer along so we know the size of the file, and we move to the one that we're looking for, and it prints out the name of the artist, the album name, the release date, and the genre. If I'd like to look at another one, it goes back and does it again. Once it's finished, again the file is closed. So, to write to an album, I create a new random access file with the file name, and I know my record size is 104. That means that I am limiting the artist name to 15 characters, the album to 25 characters, the genre to 10 characters, and there's 4 bytes to store the data, the year. So when I write to the file, anything more than 15 characters gets ignored, and I write the characters into the album file, or if it's shorter than 15 characters, then it fills in the rest with white space. Then I do the same for the name of the album. The one for the date just gets written as an integer, and for the genre, again, anything greater than 10 gets ignored, and anything less than 10 gets padded with white spaces. Then I've got my album data. When I read it, it reads all of the characters into a file into a character array. So I read the character into the character array, and then I create a string artist and convert the character in array to a string. It does the same for the album name. It does the same for the genre. And for the album file, it just reads the year. Then, inside, it creates a new version of an album, and then it returns that album. As you can see, if you were reading from this file, you could easily read into an array list, because each time you create a version of the album, you would just add it into the array list. These are all helper methods, one that moves the pointer along, the one that gets the number of records, and the one that closes it. It is easier to understand once you get this working and you see how the different classes interact with each other. So I suggest that you take the folder, you have a look at the files, and you try and get them to work together and see what happens, or create your own version so you're storing data about something that you know about.